diverse and competences and reduce conflicts and improves the process of decision making? And how are you going to use the office of the Vice Presidency to advocate for inclusion of women and to reduce the systematic exclusion of women that is going on in the sector? Thank you.
Next question. Okay.
Oh, thank you very much. Dr.
No, it was. I didn't point at you, sorry.
All right, good evening to everyone. I'm Dr. Mwansa. Dr. Luando, currently we have a problem in terms of rural posting. First of all, these places don't have consultants. They don't have people who are qualified to run departments and the hospitals. So the person who ends up running that facility is probably an SRMO. And they are promoted because there's no one who's qualified to do that. And they're overworked, they're doing managerial work, and they're not being paid for it because they don't qualify for it. So I would like to know, what is your plan that will get the people who are qualified, who are avoiding rural posting, to move from their comfortable positions to go first of all to be representatives and take up those positions? Because the bosses who are staying away from rural postings to do the job that they are qualified for, they are leaving the work to be done by people who cannot be paid because they don't qualify. And if you send them to those facilities, which means you free up, you produce the possibility for them to also be teachers and create those places as internship sites. If we saw earlier today, we saw Dr. Sichizia lobby for UTH,
just
for neurosurgery.
make sure you're sticking to the question. Ask the question.
Okay, so I'm trying to make the point that if you have a senior colleague lobbying for resources to a facility, it has much more impact, because if you have people lobbying for resources.
Is it a question or are you giving advice? I'm a bit.
So the question being. So I'm trying to make.
Okay, just ask a question.
Okay. So the question being that if you have a senior person in a facility, they can lobby for resources, and then you can pool human resources, interns and whatnot. You can make those facilities internship sites. So the question is, how will you lobby to move, first of all, these people who qualify to run facilities so that they can run facilities and not leave it to people, overwork them and not pay for them? Thank you.
Okay. So our last question will go, there was a hand that side. Dr. Yanis.
Good evening. So, my name is Dr. Lombe. So, I have two questions for Dr. Lombe.
No, one question only.
Oh, okay, one question. So I'm going to pick the private sector one. Because I've realized that since we came through, we've been debating on allowing interns to go and do internship in these private institutions. Now, in that presentation that we had, it was noted that we only have, I think, 2 big hospitals that are able to do that currently. Okay? Now, that's the first part. Second part is that people are saying that we need to make sure that internship is shortened to about 1 year. Okay? So my concern is, or my question, since you are talking about the private being involved in this, my question is, I've looked at the pros and cons. In this case, the cons. You know what I mean? So my question now is, how do you, there've been this challenge to say.
Ask your question, Dr. Lombe.
No, I'm just building the background, okay? So there's been this challenge to say, if you allow interns to go and rotate, okay, in these big hospitals, the same private hospital we're talking about, the issue there is that if you get the data from the ground, they'll tell you that we have few cases that they're exposed to. in those private institutions. So you find that you've lessened it to 1 year, and then you're telling them to rotate for
Dr. Lombe, please ask your question.
Okay, my question is just, how are you going to implement that? And I was trying to give background to say they are exposed to lesser cases.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Lombe. I think we got your question. Okay, you have 6 minutes to answer all 3 questions.
Okay, so the first question was about women in decision making. The statistics given were 5%. If I take a quick sweep of the room, I'm seeing much more than 5%. So it means we are moving a bit towards that direction. So women, just like men, have to be encouraged to be in decision-making positions. And since the question is specifically about women, I want to take one veil very quickly. Is that it just doesn't take one to be a woman to be given a position. That also has to come with competence. Yes. Talent has to be identified and harnessed. Yes. And learning opportunities have to be based on merit.
Yes. Competence.
The second question from Dr. Mwansa was about rural posting. His question was, how do we draw consultants to the rural areas? So, colleagues, we'll be teaching this. No consultant, no specialist is going to move to an area where the position of consultant is not available. The first step has to be the unlocking of the position so that when the consultant moves there, they move in a correct grade. Number two are incentives. A consultant is not going to move from Lusaka or from Ndola to Lufwanyama to go and occupy that position. In addition to that, and this is a burning issue, and this applies only in the health sector. In the health sector, I can rise to the position of SMS, PhD, DHD, or even reach the position of director at the Ministry of Health. Tomorrow I'll be relegated to the ward right away. Do we know, colleagues, that this only happens in the health sector? There is no finance manager or accountant who will rise to the position of director at the Ministry of Finance, and tomorrow you find them as a council accountant in Ufanyama. We are supposed to place ourselves in positions where we belong, the high positions that we are supposed to occupy. Then the last question from Dr. Lombe was about internship in the private sector. First of all, the private sector should not be grouped into one. It is also in levels, just like in the public sector. There's level 1, level 2, level 3, and there's also class A, class B, class C. Our focus as we are training our interns is not really public, private. The focus is their capacity. And one peculiar aspect of the private sector is that whereas they might not operate fully, like one hospital will be very strong in obstetrics, pediatrics, surgery, internal medicine, they can operate in a siloed approach, where one is very strong in surgery, the other one is very strong in OBGY, and the intern can rotate in that way. They can do internal medicine here, do surgery there, and do obstetrics and gynecology at another place. So the point to emphasize is that it is the availability of specialists at any facility, be it private or government, that is going to attract that facility to train interns. Thank you very much.
For Vice President, it will be no other than Dr. Christabel M. Biza.
Good evening, everyone. All protocols observed. My name is Dr. Christabel Biza, an obstetrician gynecologist registered at the prestigious Women and Newborn Hospital, Lusaka, Zambia. Just a brief background basically about me is that I'm a country representative for trainee of obstetrics and gynecology. And a brief history also is just to give that I had a clinical background of leadership, having been RDA ZUTH branch president and also managed Chongwe District Hospital. That has helped take me through various leadership journeys. Before I unpack to the association, I need to mention that recently I was honored with the prestigious NASA International Leadership Fellowship that was supported by the President of Egypt, Abdul Fattah al-Sisi, and I'm now a fellow of also the Jacobs Global Institute of Leadership Studies that is based in the UK. Briefly, as a Vice President, I envision the following, which I will unpack in terms of what we need to do as we collaborate. Improved welfare of doctors. We can only be highly motivated to provide a healthcare service when our professional welfare is taken care of. Issues like enumeration, employment, internship, and continuous professional development are issues that are at the center of all of us as healthcare practitioners. One aspect that we also need to look at in terms of the three things that I look at is to bridge the gap between the junior and senior colleagues. In my journey personally, even as growing up as an intern before rural posting, is that there were gaps that I identified during our internship. That there is that gap that is created between a senior and a junior. And yet when you leave as an intern, you are expected to be able to deliver and provide leadership at an area that you are set. The internship program does not prepare you for that aspect of leadership. So therefore, what I would like to do is bridge the gap between our mentors, which are our senior colleagues, and us, so that we grow together as a profession. Because the problems that we are facing, which I have already highlighted, that help make this system well, are within and among us. So that needs to be bridged, and it can only be bridged through mentorship. Another gap is also in terms of finance. We are not trained in areas of finance, but when you go to rural posting, you are expected to be the final person that makes the budget for the hospital and gives the approval. It will be very, very important and paramount that even before interns exit to go to rural posting, we incorporate within their training an aspect of just leadership, medical ethics, and also financing, so that as they go to the rural posting and are expected by virtue of the profession to be managers and leaders, they actually have a background setting in terms of that. Another aspect, which is the last of my other third points, is also trainees. The training program once you're in rural posting is that once you are there, as long as there is no one to replace you, you remain there. So we need to make sure that we put systems into place that if you have two or people, one who's not interested in academia but administrative, the person that is there allows or is allowed to go and advance in their career. So, what are we saying? This cannot only be done basically as an individual. Within the office of the Vice President, you have the education and trainings. As we are even complaining in terms of the standards of education, the education health part and the trainings that is there under the subcommittees will look into this and will collaborate in also providing issues of exchange programs where ideas can be exchanged among us. The strengthening of medical ethics and professionalism, together with the HPCZ and various senior colleagues, can be incorporated in this to make sure that the workforce of the healthcare that comes is continued. There is also the challenges that have to do with us providing healthcare services in constrained places. Therefore, the care for the caregiver is an aspect that is very, very, very important that we will also need to work with to make sure that our ability for us to provide healthcare service and our mental health is taken care of. So with this I say, together let us build a health system in Zambia that is equitable, efficient, and patient-centered. If you vote me as your Vice President for the ZMA, I am committed to advocating for the rights of the health care professionals, approving healthcare access, and promoting the well-beings not only of ourselves, but all Zambians. And through my various exposures, even the international aspect of being able to speak 7 foreign languages, that would be an added plus. And with the other places that I've visited, it will be able to assist in collaboration. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll open the floor to 3 questions. 3 questions.
As you ask your questions, please be precise. Don't tell us stories. One question.
So, when a doctor finishes internship, they are sent to the centers, regardless of position, regardless of incentives. So this shows that there's a divide. The junior doctor will be sent without incentives and the correct position, but we have senior colleagues who refuse to go without incentives and the correct position. So this shows there's a divide between fairness and other people are treated better than others. So I would ask you the same question that I asked the previous speaker, and hope that you give us a much more better answer, to show us that junior colleagues are not as important and can work in wrong positions without incentives. So I'll ask you the same question. Please, I hope you have a better answer.
All right, Dr. Chalmers.
Good evening, colleagues. Nice to see everyone. Dr. Visa, thank you so much for your presentation. I have just a simple question. What is your single most important attribute that you believe makes you better than any other of the vice president? Nothing. That you think.
Guys, let's be professional and respectful, please.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for the very speech. You mentioned in your manifesto that when doctors are sent or they are in all these positions, they have one of the challenges in terms of planning and financial capacity. So, how do you intend? Oh, okay. I have a question. Yes. When you were giving us your message, you mentioned that doctors, when they are given these positions, for example, as PhD, one of the constraints that they face is planning and financial capacity. My question to you, Doc, is if you are given the mandate, how do you intend on ensuring that doctors are well invested in planning and financial interests? Do you intend to include it in the school curriculum, or at what point are they going to be trained in this? Thank you.
Alright, you have 6 minutes to answer those 3 questions, Dr. Lisa.
Okay, so I will start with the first. You're talking about JRMOs that are meant to act in a senior position at rural. I'll give an example of myself. I acted for over 2 years basically, just with no acting allowance. But after I left, I discovered that even within a year of acting, you can actually claim as long as there is a letter. But because we are not taught the systems of how we can actually utilize this, as long as there is a letter and things are followed through HR, you can be able to claim that acting allowance for the period of time that you are there. Because the only minimum time that you're allowed to act is 6 months. So it means that we also need to know what our conditions of service state, so that we are not taken advantage of. So if you are going to act in a position for more than that, you can claim to say, I've been acting in this position, and you need to be paid for that after 6 months going forward. So those are some of the things that you need to be aware of, because yes, we don't have a lot of specialists to go about, and we will be required, even as those that are winding up their internship, to take up positions in various places, since it's been opened up, even as was stated by His Excellency here to say, they want to post us. But then that part, as we are going to claim even for the right allowance, we also need to claim for this. Then the second question, what makes me unique, or why do I think I deserve for you to endorse me? Cultural intelligence. That is my first class in terms of what I can say about myself. Cultural intelligence and the ability to be able to mix within any place that I am placed at. The third. Sorry, I missed a third question. Just a brief part, sorry. Yes, so you were asking to say, okay, in terms of the issues of planning, how do we incorporate it? When we had the deliberations yesterday, when we came to the education board, we were looking at it to say, even just in terms of etiquette, leadership, there is so much that we are seeing from those that are becoming behind us in terms of the fact that they're not mentored. They can enter into a round with no introduction, unable to say who they are or what it is. So it is important that these small bits, somewhere through our training before they actually join the profession, they learn things like etiquette. The ability to enter a room and say who you are and how you can be assisted, so that you open up the space for you to be able to be taught or given what is necessary to you. So in that aspect, within our training programs, through the education board that we have, as they look into the various training programs that are there offered by the 9 universities that we have, those are things that I think should be incorporated, and would like to work with them to make sure that they are incorporated within their training, and that by the time they come, when it comes to issues of financing, even prior to exiting our internship, there is that revision where there is an on-site training in various centers, which are our internship centers, that people know about what it entails to run an institution and to basically make budgets. Because those are the things that I discovered were gaps as I went for rural posting, and therefore still they have not been corrected. Seeing from the question that we are getting from our brother, who I do not know how long he's been acting. So yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Lisa. So go ahead and call our final contestants for the candidacy of Vice President, Dr. Isaac Sakala.
To achieve universal health coverage. I will support that agenda with everything I have. If you allow me, this evening, can I talk about the doctor's agenda? Let me speak about the office of the Vice Presidency. The office of the Vice Presidency is responsible for the welfare of doctors. If we will speak about the welfare of doctors, we're talking about economic, social, and health well-being.
Guys, please let us give him chance to actually speak. Other people want to speak. Guys, give him chance.
I have been very consistent in my message. All along, elections have come and gone. RDZ and ZMA invest on almost same issues. What I have called today the past, present, continuous problems. But today, I want us to look in a different direction because most of these problems that we have will continue to be there. And we have looked at government for answers for a very long time. Today, I ask ZMA that is ZMA ready to look the other way for the solutions? Because the solution for the problems that doctors face is not lying in government. The solution lies within that can change. So allow me this evening to speak to the people. I was an intern one day, and I looked at people who had been in service for years, fighting in the bar, and saw what they had done, and said, what have they done? Why have they failed to do one or two things? I think when I'm 5 years, I'll do more. May I speak to this first person, the seniors that we have? We have seniors in this profession who served at a point where the salary wasn't paid. They could be unable to even get loan facilities. They haven't done much. I look at them today to say, why haven't they set up this private practice? Why have they not been able, to evolve economically? It's been rough. I want to speak to the teachers of this profession that I understand your pain. I understand the challenges you have faced. May I speak to the second person, the registrars? You spend all the hours in the hospitals, you have no time to run a business. You have been in the rural for a long time, you got a loan for the first car, and you're still paying for this loan. With very little time to invest and to business. That interns think after serving for these years, you are not thinking correctly. May I speak to the last person, the intern? You are here still trying to, understand how to divide your salary, how to manage family, black tax, and investing. You have all these challenges. Today, I speak to all the three. that the answer lies within us. We can change the status quo. I come to thee to say that we have economic freedom. Tomorrow, as we vote, I ask distinguished members of the profession that may we choose change distinguished members of the profession, I can see the hope in the younger ones, that they want to build a future that they want to live in. I can see the hope of the senior folks, that they want to build a future that they want to see. May we, tomorrow, build this future together. Thank you very much.
With Patricia that side.
Yes.
Patricia,
my name is Patricia Ngoma. I'm a pediatric registrar.
Don't forget.
A very important presentation. My question was on postgraduate training. We have two current bodies that train postgraduate. That's mostly for clinical medicine. I think that is MA program and the beautiful STP that we are running all for. My question is, what is your office? Because you were mentioning that you are for the well-being of doctors, which is very important. Training research aspect, so they can also have the MA degree program. Thank you.
Alright, so go to the next question. Okay. The lady there. Go ahead, ask the question.
Amma.
Thank you very much. Guys, I think you've been told this to be respectful. We can get you. We're all here and we're all interested in our parties, so let's allow each other to express ourselves. My name is David. I'm a specialist nephrologist and physician. I'm also a managing director and founder of Kidney and Dialysis Specialist Center in Namibia, with 7 outlets, 7 practices. So I would like Dr. Sakala, you've told us about economic freedom for doctors. I totally agree with you. Yes. But you haven't told us how you propose to get economic freedom for the doctors. I think that would be important, because whenever you're talking about business, and that's utilizing our skills for business, you need to have a plan. So please tell us how you intend to bring economic freedom. Thank you.
Okay, last question at the back.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sakala. We have heard in rhetoric that we need people with experience in negotiation. And Dr. Sakala, how do you think you are better placed as a negotiator for doctors?
Okay, Dr. Sakala, you have 6 minutes. Okay, let me reiterate and say that please, as the candidate is talking, don't be rowdy, let him speak. There are other people listening that also want to know what he has to say. So let's be professional and respect what he has to say.
Thank you, Chair. I'll start with Dr. Patricia. Thank you about the question about postgraduate. First of all, I'm very passionate about postgraduate education. I, as a graduate of STP has faced a lot of challenges. It was almost, a struggle to even just get recognition. And it is from this background that I'm so passionate about STP. I think there's much that needs to be put in STP to strengthen STP. When STP started, I used to be RJZ president, and we spoke vividly to MOH that do not kill MMED.
May these two thrive together. But ministry went ahead. Some of you attended these the sessions they set. And this is the issue we need to speak to. That can these two thrive together? That's my stance on STP and postgraduate. That let these two thrive together. Then talking about STP, people should be allowed when they do the fellowship to do research and get an MMed. Remember that STP is more convenient, especially that government is trying to push doctors in rural areas. So if you're going to keep them in rural areas and they'll have little chance to come into Lusaka and do the programs they want, let them do it there and allow them do the research component, which could be done even in their current location. Well, I'm talking about strengthening STP, and those are the things that we will look into. Then let me come to Dr. Chanda's question about, I've talked about economic freedom. How do I intend, to achieve it? I haven't said how I'll achieve it. First of all, I've been part of the business advisory committee for ZMA. And when we started this to register Zambia Medical Association Cooperative and the company itself, the idea was to achieve economic freedom for doctors. When we look at where we are today, thank God for the people who've done so much for the ZMA hospital. We agreed that we'll start with the hospital because this is our expertise. But the dream was bigger. And I come here today, can we realize the entire dream? The dream has been, can we venture into other aspects as well? Can we venture into farming?
Yes. Can we venture into mining? How? First of all, I had a privilege to have a meeting with Ministry of Lands, and they are doing the resettlement schemes. And Minister of Lands was very open to say, in outskirts, people are not willing to take up this land. Let's talk about Serenge. All right? They say, if you want land now, I can give you in Serenge. Why can't ZMA through this arm of business buy thousands of hectares, all right? And use that land as a ranch, okay? Set up even, chicken runs.
But if you want to invest in chicken runs, you can come together, put up, and this farm will be run by ZMA. It will charge administration fee. Let's talk about mining, all right? We have a potential to be the richest association in the next 10 years. If we made the right decision today, it starts today. We could apply for the mining licenses. And in future, those that want to invest in the mine, they can buy shares, all right? Mining licenses are offered for free. And as doctors, we have enough leverage to ask government to say, can we be allowed? We have potential to be the richest. We have potential. Let me address the last question by Dr. Elijah. Thank you for the question. How am I a better person for this position with regards to negotiation? So first of all, Dr. Elijah, I want to bring to your attention that I am past RDZ president. And during my tenure, it was a decade where RDZ did not have financing. And people told people that RDZ cannot handle money. And this lie was repeated until it almost became the truth. And my campaign message for that office, I was saying we are going to bring back financing to RDZ. In 2 months' time, we managed to bring back financing to RDZ. Issue of land. We managed to negotiate with Ministry of Lands. There is a letter to this date that promotes that wherever they are giving land, doctors should be given priority. So let me speak to an aspect of negotiation. I have been in this leadership for quite some time. I have learned, I have grown. And you know, I haven't been perfect, but I have been progress. The doctors have given me an opportunity to serve them at one of the greatest, you know, platforms. And I have been, you know, trained. I have learned. The investment they've done in me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sakala. All right, thank you so much for your manifestos for VP candidacy. You've made our votes for tomorrow very, very difficult. Thank you so much for all that. So now we'll move on to the presidency. Our candidates ready? Good. All right, so call our first candidates, and that will be Dr. Kaumba Tolopu. All right, so like we said before, let's keep it down so that he gives a chance to actually listen to his manifesto and so that people can actually hear. Keep it down. Thank you. Okay, Dr. Tolopu, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Isi. Good evening, members of the profession. I can see we have senior colleagues. We have past executive members of the association in our midst, I can see. And as SG, I am biased to recognize the Secretary General, former Secretary General, Dr. Jonathan Sitali. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 years ago, I stood on this podium and promised you a ZMA that was going to represent the membership. 2 years ago, I promised you a ZMA that you would be proud of. And over the last 2 years, I've strived to make that possible. My name is Kaumba Roy Tolopu. I am a 5th year registrar of neurosurgery at the University Teaching Hospitals. I am a qualified biomedical scientist, and I also happen to be a lawyer. Ladies and gentlemen, my message this evening is very simple and focused. What am I going to do as President ZMA? 10 things that I would like to focus on. Improve and enhance governance of ZMA. That is the first thing. Number 2, resource mobilization. Number 3, restructuring of secretariat. Number 4, doctors' welfare. Number 5, health sector leadership participation enhancement as Zambia Medical Association. Number 6, medical education and specialist positions. Number 7, improved or enhanced relations with RDAZ and MWAS. Number 8, policy dialogue. Number 9, self-regulation, which I believe is very key to the advancement of our agenda as medical doctors. Number 10, ZMA affiliates strengthening. What am I looking at when I talk about governance? Ladies and gentlemen, the profession has grown tremendously. In 2021, we were about 2,000 members. Today, we are 4,500 members. And to that effect, I recognize that the ZMA executive, for instance, are not full-time employees of ZMA, and I wish to bring forth the ZMA registrar to be part of the association, to take care of the association and grow it. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to increase chapter representation. Currently, we have a council which I was privileged to put in place as Secretary General. Previously, we used to have appointment of council members, and as SG, I stood up and said no, and we needed a council that was going to represent each and every member of the profession. We have a council that represents women. We have a council today that represents non-Zambians. We have a council today that is reflective of a true picture of the ZMA. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the kind of president that I will be. A president for every ZMA member, despite wherever you come from. Once you are a medical doctor, and that's it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, chapters are very important, and I would like to increase funding to the chapters as a means to increase involvement of ZMA into other provinces. Decentralization, very important and very key. All the members need to feel represented. ZMA is not just about Lusaka. So governance will be something that is strong, something that I will put in place myself as ZMA president. Resource mobilization. We have ZIMAC. ZIMAC is a very important vehicle. As we know, ZMA is registered as a society under the Registrar of Societies Act, which is an association and cannot conduct business. To that effect, we have ZIMAC. ZIMAC has great potential, and as president, I will support ZIMAC fully to establish business for the Zambia Medical Association. ZIMAC and Brentwood, we have a dream to build a hospital. That dream, though far-fetched, it can start with small clinics. We can start to populate Lusaka with small clinics that will address primary health care, that will address employment of some doctors that are on the streets, that will address a lot of things, and also improve on finances on the members of the profession. Economic empowerment of our members is something that I'll strive to do as president over the next 2 years, should you see it fit to elect me as your president. Doctors' welfare.
All right, thank you so much. Your time is up, Dr. Tolopu. All right, so I'm gonna get 4 questions. We'll start with the back, that side.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tolopu. This is Dr. Lishimbi again. Question number 1, Dr. Tolopu. I've heard on several occasions.
Oh, you only are allowed to give 1 question.
I haven't said any question, Madam Isi.
Yes, you said question 1, so I was just reminding you 1 question.
Yes, thank you. So, the only question. I've heard you on several occasions talk about how you detest volunteerism amongst the doctors. My question is, what is the alternative and what is the short term to this to the doctors who are on the street? What is the short term for them, as in the alternative, and their short term plan?
All right, thank you for your question.
Thank you so much, Chair. Dr. Tolopu, I would like to reiterate the question that I asked Dr. Luando, and just a small statement to his response. It's quite sad that, he mentioned the aspect of merit, and I see the audience which is full of meritorious women. I wonder how they feel about that. That the status quo that we have, 95% of decision-making positions are held by men, and that is due to purely the matter of a factor of merit. I wonder how you all feel about that. It's just a factor of merit that we have men, 95% holding those positions. So my question to Dr. Tolopu, in your collaboration with MWAS, how are you going to influence policymakers to change the landscape that we have now? Thank you.
All right, thank you. So,
good evening, Dr. Simbe from Levy. Okay, so I have 1 question to you.
On your point, I think you should be number 4 on doctor empowerment. And I think also it borders on the CMAC. Today we had the president who came and then he assured us of the support that we would give to the medical fraternity with regards to opening up resources for us to utilize. So what measures are you going to put in place to ensure that doctors have access to these resources and funds in order to have influence economically and also to have economic independence? Thank you.
Okay, so our last question, there was a hand here. Is there still a hand? Okay, we have a hand at the far end.
Dr. Tolo, first of all, reading from the proposed budget for January 2024, which reads personal emoluments 2.2 million, AGM costs 2.2 million.
I'm sorry, just speak up a little more.
Okay, so I'm reading from the budget, proposed budget for January 2024. Personal emoluments 2.2 million, AGM costs 2.2 million, workshops 2.1 million. So the ZMA spending this amount of money. I do not see the cost for perhaps a lawyer to help us in our negotiations. Dr. Mbiza just told us. Dr. Mbiza just told us.
Okay, let him ask this question.
So Dr. Mbiza just told us we've been taken advantage of because we're working away from what the conditions of services are, and we're not being paid for that. Between JRMO and SRMO, each year that person who's on the wrong salary scale is losing at least 40,000. So I want to know, during your tenure, what has ZMA done, first of all, to help the doctors recover that money that they are losing, at least 40,000 per year, and those who are working at that, who are active but not being paid for. Looking at all these expenditures to help us negotiate, that's why I brought out the lawyers. Why haven't we had lawyers to help us negotiate when we are being taken advantage of? So I would like to know what ZMA has done in terms of helping us recover that money.
All right, thank you so much for that question. Dr. Tolobu, you have 8 minutes to answer all 4 questions.
Thank you, Dr. Lishimbi, for your question. Volunteering. So, both as a candidate and as ZMA SG, I'm opposed to volunteering because it creates a scenario where the employer thinks that we have adequate human resource when actually the hospitals are filled with people volunteering. But I do understand that people need to progress in terms of their professional development.
And so they tend to volunteer. My plan, the short-term plan, is because I am somebody who has actually advocated for employment and gotten results before. In 2021, I stood in the forefront with banners advocating for employment. My short-term plan is advocacy, first and foremost. So we need to negotiate with government because we know for a fact that we've not reached saturation point. And so there is still fiscal space for the government to employ. As the President mentioned earlier today, it's all about priorities, and sometimes we need to remind the government. The alternative, of course, is through empowering ourselves as medical doctors. The government looks at health as a service, but we need to rebrand and to start thinking about it as a business opportunity. The multiple or the many doctors that are on the streets are not a threat, but rather an opportunity, a business opportunity. So we need to think about health as a business rather than service delivery as well. So what we need to do as ZMA president, the first thing that I would do is we need to build our ZMA hospital. But before that, we need to have clinics. The clinics will support primary health care. Some people actually will move from government to work that side in the clinics, creating employment for our JRMOs. That is the first thing. The other thing is the alternate pathway when it comes to employment. We need to have a revolving fund from our donors that will be managed by the ZMA Secretariat to enable some of our colleagues to do internship, what will be called the ZMA ZACOMS internship. So this internship will be supervised by ZMA. It will pull from those that will have been left out from employment, for instance. But the eventual plan is to empower ourselves to the extent that we do not depend on government for employment, but to empower ourselves as members so that we can build clinics, hospitals, and be able to employ our colleagues as well. I support women taking center stage in leadership. And to that effect, I have on several occasions advocated for women to participate in RDZ activities and ZMA activities. I can see members in this auditorium who have approached on several occasions to stand for elections, to participate, because I believe that one day, when I have my own daughter, they should be able to see and say, it is possible for me as a girl child to reach this stage. With Ministry of Health, we have discussed several times also the possibility of increasing, deliberately positions that will allow women to thrive. There are so many factors that have allowed women maybe not to participate. Sometimes they feel discouraged. Sometimes they feel that their needs are not being met. And to that effect, as president, first and foremost, we will speak to the policy to ensure that the government listens and they provide means and mechanisms to allow our women to feel seen, to be seen and to be able to operate without any bias or without anybody to look down on them. The other thing that I want to advocate for is to ensure that we have hospitals that have a place where a lady, a medical doctor who's breastfeeding, a child can come through. We have seen our colleagues where they go to the car park. They go to the car park to breastfeed. But why can't we build facilities that will allow for our women to be able to work and be able to do certain things that make them beautiful as women? ZMA access to resources. Like I stated, the government looks at healthcare as a service. We need to look at it as a business, first and foremost. And that is what will allow the government to be able to support doctors to own hospitals. The same way that they fund agriculture, they should be able to fund medical doctors. Create a pool. That pool will allow most of our doctors who've gained experience and they no longer want to be in the government to tap into that resource, create hospitals, build hospitals, and these hospitals, what they will do is empower our members economically, empower this country economically by increasing the GDP as well. Dr. Mwansa asked about the budget and the ZMA lawyer. The budget that you received is a summary. The full budget has all the details that you're speaking to. There is, the ZMA has a lawyer who's on a retainer. So the budget that you saw is a summary, and the long budget that is there has all the essentials that you are talking about. I don't know if I fully understood your question concerning recovering resources. Something that is owed to you is yours, and there should be no hassle for you to recover it. We shall explore all possible means, whether the law, whether advocacy, whichever means will take us to ensure that we represent our members fully and that they can benefit from the association, and that is the pathway that we will lead. I will be a president that will listen. I do not know everything, and I will make mistakes, but I will need the membership to correct me. I will take your counsel. I will listen to the seniors. I will listen to the council. I will listen to everyone, because I've learned over the last 2 years that we are leaders for the members. Without the members, we are nothing. I will need your support should you see it fit to elect me. As president, and I stated earlier, I will represent everyone. Whether your contract has just been terminated and you want me to speak on your behalf, I will do that. Whether you are a JRMO, you need to get your allowances that you've been denied, I will be there for you, together with RDZ. Whether you are a senior who's thinking about retirement and you're wondering what you're going to do next, I will be there for you as president. You're thinking of business, I will walk to Nima and say, Our doctors want to have hospitals or clinics that are affiliated to NIMA. How can we make this possible? I will do that for the profession. Ladies and gentlemen, on the 19th, you have a choice to make. And I'm asking for your vote. Not as somebody who's serving as Secretary General, but somebody who has grown as a leader in other portfolios as well, having represented medical doctors first and foremost as RDZ UTH president, where we fought for doctors and got arrears for doctors worth 97,000 kwacha. That is advocacy. Ladies and gentlemen, I have served as RDZ vice president, and I've stood before with my members on the same side of the membership, and history will vindicate that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tolopo. All right, so thank you so much, Dr. Tolopo, for your manifesto. So we'll call on our last but not least candidate for presidency. It's no other than Dr. Patricia Shinondo. Okay, Dr. Shinondo, you have 5 minutes for your manifesto.
Good evening, esteemed colleagues. I appreciate your time this evening. I find myself asking, what is a leader? The dictionary will tell us a leader is a person who guides a team. A leader is a person with a vision, a pacemaker. And so tonight, I guess we're selling a vision. And so it's simple. What's my dream? My dream should be a ZMA for you and I. All of us in the room, regardless of where we came from, regardless of who we are. The ZMA I want to represent is one of principle, ladies and gentlemen. One that we can all be proud of. And one that explains to all of us who the two organizations that are meshed in this room today are. And I will take some of my time today to do just that. Who and why was the Resident Association made? And what was the initial role of ZMA? I say the word initial because times have changed. And with change, it demands we change too. So initially, one may have been made for terms and conditions of service. The other may have been made for policy. But we must agree we change too. And change brings challenge. And so we have to understand that what RDAZ and ZMA was yesterday might not be what they will be tomorrow. The problem with the two teams in this room that I see today is we haven't understood that. It's okay to still be, you want to be the RDAZ of yesterday. But let's understand that change has come. There is no need for us to be so antagonistic that we are showing a divide that will disturb the conversation tomorrow. The problem is tomorrow, our great president here today said it, they are ready for conversation. They are ready to listen to us. We're valued, ladies and gentlemen. We are valued. Today, I felt seen. That's what I felt today. I felt seen. And then, when we go in there tomorrow, guess what they'll see? They saw videos, they saw memes, they saw hate, they saw division. It just makes our conversations harder. All the same, I am ready to still believe in my vision that RDAZ of yesterday doesn't have to be separate. I think cohesion will take us where we need to go. And I do want to represent that kind of ZMA, of principle. And what I will go hard at, I will hit the ground running, looking at the huge challenges of unemployment. What I'm saying is there are thousands on the street. And I'm actually offering, thanks for the question, I'm actually offering a solution. We need to now go and ask for fixed tenure contracts. I appreciate the question. Fixed tenure contracts will give our colleagues a license and then gratuity. And with that license, doors open. They go to the private sector,
they reapply to the public sector. They go into academia. They can open their own institutions when they pool resources. That's what I'm offering. I'm also thinking of, in the field of medical education, we need to create more avenues like the medical Indaba yesterday. Those magnificent minds in that room, we have the collective ideas and solutions. Our president said it today. We need to present the solutions. Advocacy won't work for us all the time. We are advocates. Yes, some say we're just a club, but be a club with solutions. So we should walk in the door tomorrow and see our great Bali and say we have a solution. We know that to take up all 3,000, please give us fixed 10-year contracts, and then they'll have jobs. Regarding universities, he said it today. He actually brought it up before we did with the president in the back room. He says, I'm worried about the number of universities that are mushrooming up, exactly mimicking what we said in here. They are aware of our challenges, but we must bring solutions. We must now, ZMA is at a prime position. We have seen the success stories and the pilots that are working. Private universities and public hospitals have mutual beneficial relationships, and that's what we need to replicate. What can the private sector build in a public institution to create conducive learning environments? And then we take that pilot elsewhere. We have Apex now taking a university in Chipata. Can they now also create a mini university on the side and encourage us to do more teaching? Can they remunerate us? We have such a passion and a love for STP that so many teachers in this room teach for free. There is no worry if we believe in STP. It's about how do we refine this program? How do we push to now get those MOUs targeted with LMMU and get them functioning? It's about completing the conversations. The MOUs are there. And I just want to commend the teachers in this room that work for free. I really think you are the backbone of the future. So today I'm saying
thank you so much,
and I thank you for your time.
Okay, so go ahead and take 4 questions for Dr. Shinondo. Okay, we'll start with at the back.
Thank you so much. When we wake up tomorrow, we give you the vote, Dr. Shinondo, and become the president.
Introduce yourself, sir. Just introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Lishimpi, also known as St. Moses. Dr. Shinondo, when we wake up tomorrow, we are giving you the vote. Give me one reason why we shouldn't vote for you.
Okay, our next one, that side.
Good evening. Thank you so very much. I am Munkonde Philip, and I'm from Nakonde. My question is actually supposed to be for both candidates, but I don't know which opportunity I was going to have to ask both of them because it's across, it's for both. Aspirants, I would like to bring to your attention the concerns that, one of the concerns that your members have. And one of them is the fact that there is no direct benefit somehow of some members being members of ZMA. By direct benefit, they feel that despite the contributions and what they put in for the association, there is nothing much that they benefit as members of ZMA. So the question is, what will both of you, if elected as presidents, what will you do that will directly benefit the members of ZMA? I looked at the proposed budget. I know that one of the benefits, for example, could be continuous medical education. The allocation of funds shows that the money allocated for such is quite little and cannot achieve much. So what exactly will you do that would directly benefit the members? Not the
all right, thank you for your
using the resources that we have, not the things that we don't have. that most of them are talking about. No, who have the mines and the farms and everything. But we have money already. We have money. How do we utilize it to empower your members? Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll get that side.
Good evening. Thank you very much. My question.
Introduce yourself first.
My name is Chilofia Weni Mlenga. I'm a medical officer at Lewanika General Hospital, Mongo Western Province. Yes, so my question, I'm aware, Dr. Shinondo, that you are part of a group that wants to split from ZMA. There's a group of doctors who belong to an association. They call it the College Association, who have lost confidence in ZMA. And as ZMA VIP, you attended the meetings as the VIP as well as the Secretary General for ZAPS. So now my concern is, why would you want to represent an association if you've lost confidence and trust in the association? And don't you think that was an act of rebellion towards an association you are leading? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Sam Musariri. My question, which I'd have loved to ask both candidates.